facility area or what? Oh, I guess it's second. I keep looking at the clock and it's wrong.
Slow.
This doesn't work. Yes.
Good?
Call the July 23rd, 2015 meeting of the Fawcett Town Council to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I have an email from the Secretary of State's open meeting website indicating that this meeting was posted on that website on July 21st at 5:06 p.m. So we are in compliance with the Open Meetings Act. I wanted to point out that the flags of the town are at half-mast, and that's because both Governor Raimondo and President Obama issued proclamations to put them at half-mast in honor of those who died at the tragedy in Chattanooga. And they're going to stay at half-mast for those proclamations until at least Saturday, at least through the day's end. I also wanted to announce for those of you who don't know that Linda Walden, a longtime resident and highly involved individual in the town, passed away suddenly last Sunday. She was involved in so many different things in town: the fire companies, the ambulance corps, PTG, Hemlock Village, her church, numerous boards and committees, including the current Charter Review Committee. The council wants to express our sympathy to Tom and the children and the family, and I'd like to ask for a moment of silence if you want. One further announcement, which I am going to defer to the police chief, regarding black bear sightings in the town of Foster. So chief, if you just want to.
Yeah, I just wanted to bring up, and it's been in the news recently, that, and just today, Foster residents have seen 3 bears throughout the town. So I printed up a flyer from Rhode Island DEM. I also posted it on our Facebook page. But the bears are out there. There are things that you can do to lessen the impact of attracting the bears. But you know, they're out there. They have a huge range, so you might see one tonight, but it might be 100 miles away, you know, within a short amount of time. So again, just to be aware. We live in their woods.
Where were they seen?
Central Pike, Old Danielson Pike, and Route 101.
Okay, are there any further announcements? Okay, public comment. I have 2 individuals who signed in. Palmer Moore.
Oh, sorry, I think that was just a check-in sheet, I didn't mean to
Okay.
throw in the comments too.
Okay. And Joseph Rubus.
Yeah, I thought it was a sign-in sheet also.
Okay, so if you wish to speak to any item on the agenda when we reach it, you're welcome. Okay, minutes from June 11th.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes from June 11th, 2015 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Minutes from July 9th.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of July 9th, 2015 as presented.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Warrants, payroll warrant number 1.
I make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 1 in the amount of $34,049.15.
Second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Payroll warrant number 2.
I make a motion that we accept payroll warrant number 2 in the amount of $34,759.59.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. General warrant number 2.
I make a motion that we accept general warrant number 2 in the amount of $50,773.15.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. General warrant number 25.
I make a motion that we accept general warrant number 25 in the amount of $27,404.86.
Second. Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Monthly reports.
I make the motion that we accept the following monthly reports: Building and Zoning, Department of Public Works, Finance Department, Human Services, Planning Department, Police Department, Rhode Island Resource Recovery, and Tax Assessor as presented.
Second. Discussion on the monthly reports? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Quarterly reports.
I make a motion that we accept the following quarterly reports as presented: Engineering Board, Forster Center Fire Company, Planning Board, South Forster Fire Company, Tax Board of Review.
Discussion on the monthly report, on the quarterly reports?
You want it noted what ones were missing?
Sure, go ahead.
The following quarterly reports were missing: Board of Canvassers, Civil Preparedness, Conservation Commission, Forster Ambulance Corps, Forster Home Repair, Forster School Committee, Land Trust, Libraries, Moosup Valley Fire Department, Recreation Committee, and Zoning Board of Review.
Okay, go ahead.
I just wanted to let you know that both the Board of Canvassers and the school committee reports did come in, but they came in Wednesday morning and it was too late to get them in the packets. So we'll hold them for next time.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye, motion carries unanimously. Old business, we're going to get an update on the police station, planning for the police station. I'm going to turn this over to Chief Zeal, who will be filling us in. Chief?
Good evening, everybody. As many people know, something needs to be done with the police station. And found too many people that disagrees with that. We're in a house that was built in 1824. It's, again, it served its purposes, but it no longer, again, is safe, secure. It's fallen down. It's going to cost a lot of money for the town to maintain it. And a lot of areas of the building won't pass accreditation. Safety, we just had a recent inspection, and that inspection is, the report hasn't come back out yet. But I've looked at it, and there's a lot of options out there, from do nothing at all, which I don't believe is an option, build a standalone building, which would probably be the best idea, but it's probably the most expensive, well, I know it's the most expensive idea. And with the financial, finances in town, again, it's not the best option. After speaking with several people, there was an idea of building the police department within the town hall. I looked at it, and I recently found out that West Greenwich, who has been in the town hall, but they were in bad conditions down there. They just remodeled and basically rebuilt their police department within the town hall. I went down there and toured it. It's a place of pride for their officers and employees, and for the townspeople. They did it with the space that they had, utilized the space that they had. A little bit different setup. Their administrative offices are upstairs within the public wing, the dispatch is upstairs within the public wing, and then the operational portion of the police department is downstairs. And they followed accreditation standards, safety, they worked with the trust. They had a big infusion of money from the trust. They had flooding issues, so the Rhode Island Trust, again, paid for a big portion of that project. And they did it within, again, working with the space that they had, and again, they didn't go crazy. They designed safe and secure areas, and they still have some work to do, but they did it in phases. One of the ideas was to relocate finance, relocate health and human services, and again, I liked that idea until I started looking at the whole project. To make it, again, if the town of Foster goes ahead with any project, it should be done right. If it's not going to be done right, in my mind, it shouldn't be done at all. So I started looking at it, and again, I'm not an expert builder, carpenter or anything, but we started looking at it and the needs of the police department. And again, it's just not an office building. It needs to be safe and secure areas. Dispatch needs to be secure. There needs to be secure detention areas. Juvenile detention by law has to be out of sight and sound of other detention areas, male, female. Again, there's a lot of specific things to a police department. And then, again, trying to, again, move finance and reconstruct finance. Again, you would basically have to remodel that whole entire area. Either eliminating windows, putting up steel plate, locks, or whatever to make that area secure. So instead of relocating out, the suggestion would be to build out the same area and create a police department wing, which would be utilized through the public entrance, public area from the town hall. If you walk into the town hall and walk out that back door to the north, it would be a police department wing. Instead of creating another addition on the end of human services, our Sallyport area, which is a secure area, detention area, could be built under that wing. And again, not looking for a Taj Mahal or anything. Again, to fit into the character of the building, it could be created, and get to it. I passed out brochures from the building architect in the region, Drummy, Roseanne, and Anderson. They specialize in public safety buildings throughout the region. They have vast amount of experience. The top copy is a feasibility and needs study from Portsmouth. Is redesigning the police department and fire department complex. They're adding on to the fire department complex, and their idea was scrap what they had as a police department and build a new police department. I believe the figures that they were looking at, they wanted to look at for the building was around $6 million. The new building right now stands at $10 million. Again, I don't want a Taj Mahal. I want a safe, secure building that is efficient. So that wing, you could incorporate the administrative dispatch center upstairs. The public could easily access from the town hall area, but also incorporate a police department entrance on the front side, which would be the west side facing Howard Hill Road. Underneath that could be that Sallyport area, detention area, processing room, and the vast amount of space under the town clerk's area could also be, created, into the more operational portion of the police department. And then again, that wouldn't disrupt finance, that wouldn't disrupt health and human services. The stairwell could be maintained, and the idea has been to contact a company like this, and I did contact them. The senior architect and the owner of the company wants to come out to provide a quote. We set up a tentative date for August 18th to come out, give a quote. But going back to what Foster has, what West Greenwich recently did and was successful doing it, using the talents within Foster and area, coming up with a building committee, the experts that we have, utilizing the people that we have within the town, and going forward. Again, we can do the studies on, and we know how big a department is, or a dispatch area, what we have. The detention center, just to use an example, instead of building a $10,000 prison area or a detention room, a jail room, They created a 8x8 block, cinder block thing. It met all the accreditation standards. They created a cement bed, put a mattress on top of it, and it was a secure building or secure room instead of going the route of, you know, a $10,000 room or whatever. A steel core door, a steel door, it's secure. It met all the accreditation standards. We have the talent in town. Again, coming up with a building committee, and, you know, and again, moving forward. The other sheet that was provided is experiences and references, and as you go through that, there's many different departments, they want to either do it in phases or add additions or standalone buildings, and again, you know, some of these are, you know, multi-million, most of them are multi-million-dollar things, but again, the company is a reputable company throughout the region, and again, they're willing to come up, and they could work within our budget, and, you know, again, do a needs and feasibility study for the police department and for the town hall, because again, again, I don't know the percentage, but there's so much wasted space in that building, it's unbelievable. Again, I had no idea there was that much wasted space.
So you're gonna meet with them on the 18th?
Yeah, and again, you know,
Wait for the study?
Well, they could work, again, I don't know what type of budget the town has or would want to do, but they could provide us with a quote, and I already asked them, and they're willing to meet with whoever, you know, and again, you know, if in my mind, if it affects all the departments, I know there's space, DPW has space issues, planning has space issues, if it's gonna affect all these departments or finance or town clerks, all these offices, all these departments should have a say in what area that they're going to work in and that their employees are going to work in. So again, either come together or assign certain people that they can meet with, you know, and throw around ideas before that meeting. Okay, you know, and they can provide a quote, you know, from, I'm sure from very little. They said they work within our budget, but again, it all depends on what we ask them to do. Or you can go the route, you know, again, if it costs X amount, again, I'm just going to throw $10,000 out for an example. $10,000 will buy a lot of blocks and a lot of 2x4s.
We've got a lot of talent in this town, and I think he touched on that also. I definitely think we should put a committee together that you also mentioned, with people with building experience, engineering experience. That town hall that we have over there right now was designed in-house, in town by Jim Carlson. I think had a big hand in it, a few other people in town. And a lot of them are still in town and probably would be able to lend us some support. So I'd really like to see a two-prong. He's already done that with an engineers coming to meet, but I'd also like to start for the next agenda, putting a committee together. Get some information out there and see who we can bring to the table as a group.
Mr. Lewis? Yes. A lot of local talent built the town hall that 2/3 of it's not usable. I'm sure I'm right about that. So, should get an architect. There's all kinds of questions in this town. What are you going to do with the existing police station when you're done? The work, Mr. Zeal has mentioned that there's a lot of empty space. Chief Zeal has mentioned there's a lot of empty space, and somehow any project should include filling the empty space. Because to add a police station, a wing, or whatever, I don't have the particulars, it came in late, but the plan should basically fix the town hall and the wasted space. So I'll leave it there. And what are you going to do with the police station? What are you going to do? the library, all the stuff in town, local talent, the libraries, local talent, what's that, the Woody Loudon, all right? A plan would be a good thing that incorporates the police station and all the other needs of the town versus working on these things one at a time. Hopefully that's understandable.
And this company, again, you know, you can look at their portfolios online, whatnot. This company can do that. They can come in and see the, you know, the open areas and, you know, planning, for example. You know, might have, you know, want 2 offices. Okay, we can put 2 offices here. Or again, they can do a needs and feasibility study, which you have in front of you, you know, several different examples. And, you know, any one of those agencies would be willing to, again, share their experiences. Or, you know, if you want this company, you know, they basically say, tell us what you want, and they're going to provide it. And again, just a suggestion.
Any questions from the council?
I would just say that I'm sure if the question's going to be asked, probably when it comes time to figure out how to finance the station, the question's going to be asked, how much would it cost to renovate the existing building?
I can tell you how much a speeding fine is. I can't tell you how much a wall is.
Right. Well, I just think that we should know the answer to that question at the time.
But again, that's, they provide, the Portsmouth, for example, they were hoping for $6 million. This company gave them an estimate, following their needs and feasibility study of $10 million. So,
That's the good thing about going to an engineer that comes in and designs everything, you get a dollar amount and put a price tag on it. Again, there's benefits to each.
Okay, so you're gonna meet with them on the 18th?
yeah, and again, willing to, you know, I already offered, you know, again, I wasn't speaking for the town council, but didn't know if a member of the town council would be there, or a DPW director, finance would be there, or planning, you know,
I'd be interested in that, John.
so.
Okay, well, I think it's an open invitation.
Yeah.
Well, everyone wants to go. I want to go too.
I'll bring the
It's not
donuts.
the building committee, it's just an initiative.
Right.
Okay, and then I will put this on again, the next meeting after the 18th. Or I'll chat with you before then to see if they'll have a proposal.
Well, and again, that's something, they're gonna, I believe they're gonna provide a quote, but they also wanna know what, you know, to do, you know, and again, I don't know what these costs, you know, I'm sure Portsmouth costs a pretty penny, so we'll have to also discuss, you know, what is our budget.
Sure. Kelly?
I just think that the chief and I have discussed this greatly, and I just think that at some point you're gonna have to decide how we're gonna go about this. I mean, we obviously can't commit to a project without having a price. It would require some sort of financial town meeting action. We'd have to figure out how we're gonna pay for it. And I don't see us getting a valid estimate without some sort of monetary outlay right up front. So, I mean, I think everybody has to start thinking how much you want to spend on this and where we're gonna come up with this. Because I don't know how you move forward without a couple of options. You know, option A, we move finance, option B, we have the police station completely off back. How much is the first option, how much is the second? How do you make decisions without a true cost? And everything I've heard so far is kind of questionable about getting a cost up front. It seems like let's move forward and then we'll price it as we go along. And I'm not for that at all. I just wanted to be upfront about that because I don't want to be in the middle of a project or in the beginning, you know, it's not really a way to go. I think we really have to get a true estimate, and that's going to cost money. I don't see us doing that any other way without some sort of an outlay of funds. So I think we need to start thinking, how much do you want to pay for that? When should we do that? Should it be this fiscal year or, you know, at a separate financial town meeting, or how we're going to do that? Because to get a true estimate and a plan drawn, and you can't, without a plan drawn, how do you get a true estimate? So it's kind of a
I
catch-22.
think that's what that meeting is, in August
So-
18th, we'll get some answers on this.
Right, so I do think you have to start thinking, you can say the talent, and that they might help us build it, but they're not gonna put a price to it, and we can't figure out how to pay for it without that.
Well, I think what they're gonna put a price to on the 18th, or shortly thereafter, is their assessment.
Of what our vision is.
Right, so you're prepared to pay $15,000 or more to get this done, is what I'm saying, because don't have a meet with them or them if you're not prepared to have some sort of an expense, because that's what they're basically gonna say.
It's kind of like what we did with the ball field over on 94. They purchased it, and they spent money on an engineer, and it's all designed, the cut, the grades, the ball fields, the placement of the run track, everything's already in place and spent on, so.
But you're gonna end up having to go out to bid maybe for the service of even doing that,
Well,
which complicates the.
I think what he's going to get is a price for doing this feasibility study, is that correct?
Right, and again, between now and the 18th, maybe all the departments can sit down and say, yeah, DPW wants or can have an office upstairs, planning can have an office upstairs, and get out the, and come up with an idea, so we can present that with an idea, and they're gonna work with what we provide now.
And then, once we have that price for the study and the plan, then we'll know if we have to go out to bid. So then we'll be able to.
As long as they realize that we can't commit to anything.
It's over $5,000 without a doubt.
Yeah, so
That's
you really need to go out to bid even for the service.
And we'll identify.
Yeah, it's over
We'll
5,000.
identify when to go out to bid, how to go out to bid, where we're gonna find the funds. And this will give us an idea. If it's $50,000, well, then that's different than if it's 15.
Okay,
Whether we can do it this year or we can't.
okay.
Whether we can do it with or without a financial town meeting. Well, I think that this first meeting with an estimate on doing the study, coming up with the plan, will give us direction where to go next. Does that sound reasonable?
That's-
Yes, I'm just concerned, you know, about that.
How much are they gonna charge for this?
Take it out of buildings and grounds.
Chief, there's a question. How much?
How much are they gonna charge for coming out to meet with you on the 18th?
Nothing.
Nothing?
This is right.
If the town commits to doing something, is it possible, the trust gave a ton of money to this other department
They
and
they have flooding issues.
That was a claim.
Right, but you could, believe me, you could throw in flooding, you could pick one,
I could drive the bulldozer through it.
That was an insurance.
and that would do it too.
Committee.
But, no, I'm just saying perhaps there's something that would incorporate the feasibility, some kind of monies that would incorporate paying for the feasibility study if the town actually commits to doing something.
Well, I think this evening, we're not committing anything other than allowing the chief to meet with these folks and coming back with some sort of number. Essentially, they're gonna meet with you and give a quote. And once
Get a
we-
discussion, start getting a discussion on this, was basically what we're going to do.
Yeah, and then once we have the quote, we'll know whether we need to go left or right. I think tonight is still.
I'm sure we can all agree that something needs to be done. I mean, that place is, I don't know if you're involved through the building, it is, there still is knob and wire tubing, electrical running through that basement that's live. Hot-rooted steel tanks in the basement, it's in pretty rough shape.
So is everyone on the council satisfied? The chief can go ahead with this meeting? Yes? Okay, very good. All right, then we'll chat about when it goes on the agenda next for updating that. Okay, next item under old business is the bid award for the Woody Loudon log shell rehabilitation. We have a recommendation from the DPW director.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director for the Woody Loudon Rehabilitation Project of using the French Mountain Builders for a total cost including NBS 30 insect repellent treatment of $15,650, which was the only bid for the project.
Is there a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Next, bid award for paving, we have a recommendation.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director for using Cardi Corporation for street paving. Their bid of $73.49 per ton for the leveling course, $2 per linear foot for keyways, and 35 cents per square yard for tack coating.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. Bid award DPW garage roof replacement, we have a recommendation.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director for a new roof for the DPW garage by using Giovanni Home Builders. The total cost for the necessary work and specifications for the bid was $12,100.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Bid award for gravel, we have a recommendation from DPW Director.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the Public Works Director to award the 2015-2016 gravel bid award to J.R. Renagro Corporation at the price of $12 per ton delivered and $9 per ton picked up.
Discussion?
I have a discussion. Are we picking it up or are we having it delivered?
Oh, we're having it delivered.
We're having it delivered. Thank you.
This allows you the option.
Yeah, we have the option.
You can go either way, from
Right.
truckload
I
to
was just-
truckload.
Making sure, so do we want to amend my motion or just leave it as is?
I think leave it as is, because it allows us to do either one, do the as necessary.
Okay.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor? Aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Next item, new business additions and abatements. There are actually a couple of different pages here. Is
Do you
there,
want them individually or do you want to?
I think per page, we can do all 4 of these on this one page, and we can do this page separately.
I'm sorry, say it again, so you want this one?
I think we can do this whole page, all of these on this page together, and then do the second document
Okay.
separately.
Great. I make a motion that we honor the request of the, excuse me, the tax assessor to proration additions and abatements for the following real estate additions, total additions of $2,414.88. Tangible abatements, a total abatements of $303.44. Real estate abatements, a total abatements of $6,151.83. Motor vehicle abatements, total abatements of $3,791.92.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. The second document.
I make a motion that we accept the recommendation of the tax assessor for the 2014 tax roll proration additions and abatements of real estate additions, total additions $2,069.11.
Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Okay, the next item is request for F1 liquor license, Thornton Beagle Bar.
I make a motion that we approve the request for a beer and wine beverage class F license for the Thornton Beagle Club on August 9, 2015.
Discussion? I have a discussion. The application is asking for a Class F liquor license. The agenda is posted for a Class F1 liquor license. Is that an issue? Well, one of them is beer and wine, and the other one is all alcoholic beverages, so there's a significant difference.
Right, the F is less than the F1. So if an F1 liquor license was a concern under that section, the one that is actually being discussed is less than, so it's kind of inclusive.
So it would be appropriate to
They don't have
vote
a
on
problem
this.
with it.
Okay. Any further discussion? And the motion did say Class F.
Yes.
Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, motion carries unanimously. Next item, request for Woonsoquatucket River Watershed Council Bicycle Woody Ride, September 15th, 2015. Have a letter.
I make a motion that we honor the request for the Thank you, River Watershed Council Bike Woody Ride for September 15, 2015.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion?
I just have, sorry.
It was to you. Have you looked at it, and is it acceptable?
Yeah, we have no problem with this particular ride, but I was talking to the town clerk. The town should come up with some sort of procedure as far as a lot of these rides. You know, it's just not the police approving them, but it's DPW, they can ensure the route is safe, the fire departments that are involved in that jurisdiction, and EMS. Because again, they could all potentially be taxing on each individual departments, but just come up with a sign-off sheet. You know, I know the one in the springtime was a nightmare, and we basically had to cancel that one because the route was unsafe. So again, instead of just coming to me for approval, there's other departments and agencies involved, so just come up with some sort of procedure as far as approving these bike rides, races. Again, this one's pretty small, but there's some that are hundreds of riders or runners.
Okay. You don't have any issue with us
No, not at all.
approving this one this evening? Okay, further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay, new business, first reading of zoning ordinance amendments, scheduled public hearings. The planning board has forwarded to us actually there's a slash here, so perhaps four proposed updates to the zoning ordinance. We do have all of them here, if anyone would like to take a copy, because some of them are short, and one of them is about 13 pages. And rather than have you suffer through me reading a 13-page document, the treasurer, Madam Chair, suggested that we made copies so that you can look on yourself. And we're also going to put these on the town website, so they'll be available there as well.
John, can we do it by motion? Potentially a motion to suspend the reading and to attach as exhibit to the minutes, these proposed
If you
ordinances.
think that's appropriate,
Easier to do it that way from now on, we seem to be doing more.
is there a motion from the council in that effect?
I make a motion that we forego the reading of the first readings of the zoning ordinances amendments as presented and attach them as exhibits.
Is there a second? Discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Well,
Yes, okay.
I know it's arduous going reading through these and going through them, but I know a lot of people watch public access TV, and they get a lot of their information from it. So I wouldn't be voting for this, although I do make a timely and fast meeting, but there's times that I think the public interest.
Are these available on the town website?
Not yet, but they will be. They will be.
Can you upload these to the Secretary of State's website with the minutes also? So if they go into the minutes and it says attached, will there be, they can actually have them attached?
Not until the minutes.
Well, even the minutes, right, they would have to be approved before they get on paper.
Okay. How fast is the
2 weeks.
town website?
They're available,
Oh,
if they're available in town hall,
Town
right?
hall.
So they'll see that on the camera.
and they're on the town's website. I'm not sure.
They
will.
Not now,
But they will be prior to our,
but prior to your next meeting?
yes.
Yes.
If someone makes a public records request immediately for
Have
email,
a copy.
they
We
can
can
be
scan
emailed,
it.
they can be scanned and sent right away.
And I will read the summaries, this evening, so that folks will at least know what these things entail. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of suspending the reading, signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. The items will be available on the website, they'll be available with the minutes, they'll be available at town hall, in person pickup or email. And I will just read the summaries this evening so folks know what the gist of them are. The first ordinance that has been proposed to us from the planning board is the one regarding corner lots. The zoning ordinance amendment for corner lots intends to clarify the minimum frontage as well as to clarify what sides constitute the side yards. What sides of a particular lot indicate the size, so that when it's discussed off the front or off the side lot, all of that's clarified in the ordinance. The second ordinance proposal from the planning board are sign regulations. And this amendment's intent is to revamp the regulations regarding signs to be more comprehensive and clear, specifically to add definitions for all types of signs, including sizing, height, and setbacks, to clarify how to compute sign display area and height, to add general regulations including status, building and electric codes, maintenance, landscaping, illumination, alterations, and review. To insert a table outlining whether each defined use is permitted or prohibited in every zoning district. To update regulations by zone, including setbacks, height, lighting, and total sign area. To clarify the distinction between on-premises and off-premises signs, prohibited signs, where, what, how many materials, etc., and non-conforming signs. And to reference permit applications, violations, and violation regulations, unsafe or unsecure signs that are an immediate threat to persons or property. So those are the items addressed in that case. The next zoning ordinance amendment on prohibited uses. The amendment's intent is to revamp the regulations regarding prohibited uses to be more comprehensive and clear, specifically to consolidate where possible, to correct typographical errors, to update the wording used for dumps. What is a dump? To update the wording for sewage treatment facilities and incinerators. To update exceptions for vehicle washing shops to take advantage of new and existing technology. To reference associated regulations. To form agreement with the description of the uses in the use table. And to add language regarding permitted versus prohibited uses, which will be mirrored in the description of uses. And then the last zoning ordinance and amendment summary from the planning board, description of uses. This amendment's intent, now I'm having difficulty with the word intent. The amendment's intent is to agree with the prohibited uses list and clarify permitted versus prohibited uses. So those are the recommendations from the planning board. Are we ready to schedule a public hearing on any or all of these? The first available date will be with regard to advertising lead time will be August 27th. Motion from the council to take these to public hearing at this time.
make a motion that we place these ordinances for a public hearing on August 27th, town council meeting, to be held at the townhouse.
Second.
Seconded, Mr. Morris, is there discussion?
Just with respect to the sign ordinance, I did look through it. Obviously, sign ordinances, maybe not obviously, but they can get fairly complicated since they pertain to regulated speech. There are a lot of sort of legal landmines that you can run into. I'm not sure, based on what I reviewed, that this would be ready for a public hearing. The extent of the changes that I think need to be made to it in order to just conform with what I think was the intent, or things that aren't necessarily clear, and I'm not sure what the intent was. As with the solar ordinance, I'd be glad to work with Juliana over the next couple of weeks, but to the extent this needs to go back to the planning board, I don't know if there's anything pressing with respect to this ordinance that it's necessary that it be for a public hearing with the others before it's in a form that I think is really ready.
Do you want to amend my motion? I'm sorry.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to amend Councilwoman DeFranco's motion to schedule a public hearing for corner lots and the prohibited uses and description of uses, zoning ordinance amendments.
Second that motion. Amendment.
Motion made and seconded to amend it, so we would be excluding the sign regulation ordinance to go both of them. You believe this sign ordinance is in such need of provision that it isn't something that could be done during a public hearing?
Well, I was speaking with our solicitor prior to the meeting, and those discussions had to be cut short. I had some debate. I think we reached a point where it wasn't clear what the intention of certain aspects of the ordinance was, whether there were deliberate provisions in there, or whether all different consequences have fully been considered. So I think at least resolving what the actual purpose was, what the planning board is actually asking us to consider is important, and I'm not sure that can necessarily be done in that time period.
To round that out, I mean, the cases we were discussing today for a good amount of time, but it can go on, were state cases from the 2000s, but there's a Supreme Court case, United States Supreme Court case, that's hot off the press. It came out, was published this June, and it hits on the very terms that are used in these ordinances. Now, my take on that is they're all to do with billboards and commercial uses. However, he is absolutely correct in saying that the very language we use, which is what many, many cities and towns use out of necessity, better than other language that has already been returned, is kind of right now, being discussed. So June 2015, the United States Supreme Court's opinions touching on this, there was 40-page opinions. I mean, we try to digest that, but I think the intent is does the planning board intend, and will the council be voting on the intention to go with it as it is, because we are stating this is what we want, the way it is, or well, this is what we want, but we didn't intend it to come out this way. So
there's.
I have to give credence to his concern that it is a difficult issue, it's free speech.
So there's really no overriding concern that we push this ordinance through as quickly as possible. We could take a couple of weeks.
I don't know what the planning board's concerns are, I certainly do.
No, there's no hurry. I mean, we want to make sure it's right. We have the assistant solicitor sitting on our meetings, and he did review the ordinance, and there were some questions on some of the language, I believe, but as far as the enforcement, you know, on certain types of signs.
Right, so being the chair of the planning board, would you be able to say it wouldn't be upsetting to the planning board for us to set this one aside at this point to review it in light of that Supreme
I
Court?
think, you know, we might want to just wait on all three and do them as a group, because the other two are kind of, you know, not that pressing either. I don't know if we want to do two and then do another public, and have another public hearing.
I'm sure there are others coming up too, so.
Yeah, you know, but I don't see there's a reason to rush it, you know, you want everything right.
Okay, so the motion, the amendment to the motion is to, essentially to exclude the sign regulations from the public hearing on 8/27. All those in favor of the amendment? Aye, amendment carries unanimously. Go back to the main motion. The main motion would be to schedule a public hearing for corner lots, prohibited uses, and description of uses on 8/27 at the townhouse. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Very good. So, get together, go from the planning board, the solicitor, the planner, whatever, and work through that and discuss the concerns you made of that. Okay, we are back to our public hearing, the continuation of a public hearing on the zoning ordinance amendments to solar installations addition to use table. So we continue to this evening. I will now call the hearing back to order on solar installations addition to use table. Now we do have in front here the updated revision. I'm going to read for you the revisions that were done. And anyone feel free to come up and go through this pile and grab the zoning ordinance as we are discussing this evening. Solar installations revised. The amendment's intent is to address solar installations in keeping with state regulations, industry standards, and utility classifications. There are a few major changes to the original proposal. One, reformatting. Definitions have been reworked to allow for the ordinance to more efficiently flow. 2, tiers. 4 original tiers, being 0 to 10 kilowatt hours, 11 to 20, 21 to 250, and greater than 250, have been condensed into 3 tiers, 0 to 25, 26 to 250, and greater than 250. And I believe that is in conjunction with industry standards. Minor and major installations, the 2 larger tiers, 26 to 250 and greater than 250, are now listed under major solar installation, along with the associated greater than 20% net buildable area and greater than 40% net buildable area. Again, this allows for more efficient flow of the ordinance. The incentive section was revised. The condition the solar installation must meet to be exempt from tangible tax has been reworked to specify one that solely meets the energy needs of the property on which it is located, regardless of energy output. Agricultural operations are no longer called out, since the intent is to incentivize working farms is now inherently addressed. There are a few minor changes. Under minor installation, that it must service the property on which it is sited is now stipulated in the definition. Mention of rooftop installations has been deleted, so that the energy output is the main basis to each tier. Under major installation, that it would sell power back to a utility or have an output exceeding 25 kilowatt hours or 20% net buildable area and 250 kilowatt hours or 40% net buildable area for the secondary tier is now stipulated in the definition. Legal instruments. The lease is now called a memorandum of lease, which is more common and ensures that sensitive financial information isn't shared, and any easements or agreements are required to be recorded after approval. change to the electric code. National Electric Code was revised to RI Electric Code, since the RI code will always use the national code as a foundation, but may have additional requirements. And then under abandonment, a surety bonds to cover the cost of removal is now required instead of simply being a possibility. So those are the revisions for the planning board. This is the document in front of us and on the table for everyone to review. And I am going to now accept comments from public in favor of this ordinance. Mrs. Ryder?
I just think that with the revisions that you've made, it allows the town to be in the driver's seat. And it does not prevent homeowners or farm owners from using solar power to, solely energize their house or business.
Further comments in favor? Hearing none. Oh, Mr. Sheldon?
There's a lot of companies now that want to rent your roof. They'll cover it with solar panels, and they'll give a portion of it to you or sell it to the power company, whichever way you want to go. If they still retain ownership of the panels, wouldn't they be the ones that are being taxed on the property, on the real value of the property?
When you say they, are you talking about the property owner or the
No, the power
corporation?
company, whoever the solar power company is.
I'll defer to the tax assessor. Who would be paying the tangible tax?
Well, normally we don't tax residential solar.
He's-
You're speaking residential?
What I'm saying is that they retain ownership of this equipment. The inverters, the panels, the wiring, everything, it's theirs. One of the things you mentioned is of abandonment, for instance. If that company maintains ownership of that, they may fall into even foreclosure. So what I'm saying is that it's the company that owns it, whoever owns it, whether it's the homeowner or the company, that's who should be paying the taxes on. So if they pull a permit to put cover their house with solar panels, the value of that would have to be stated in the permit, and the tax people should get that immediately thereafter.
So let me try to clarify, the way this ordinance is written, if you were to put solar panels on your home, or anybody would have put it on their home, to create power just for their home, those would not be taxable at all, according to this ordinance. If you were to put panels on your property, and you use some of the power, but you also sell it back to the electric company, not the meter going back and forth each month, but you're essentially commercially selling it back to the utility on a regular basis, those would be taxed tangibly. If you're producing it for yourself, whether it's a home or business or an agricultural entity, if you're using it on the property solely that you're producing it on, it's not taxable. It only becomes taxable if it's commercial. You put enough up to continue to sell it back.
Okay.
Juliana?
I would just like to say that right now, Rhode Island's net metering law doesn't allow net metering through third-party ownership. So you would not be able to even do that at this time.
An attempt to bend the law is what it is.
So, that answers your question. Further comments for the ordinance? Are there any comments in opposition to the ordinance? Hearing none. Are there any comments whatsoever regarding this ordinance? Okay, I hear no one, I see no hands. I will now formally close the public hearing on the solar ordinance. Bring it back to the council. What is the will of the council?
I make a motion that we accept or adopt the zoning ordinance amendment for the solar installations revised as presented by the planning department.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion. No discussion? Okay. All those in favor of adopting this ordinance, signify by saying aye.
He's trying to speed you up.
Wants to get out of
There was a lot of discussion over the last couple of meetings about this, and I think a lot of work went into it. The changes that I saw were beneficial, and I had concerns on, so I'm just glad it made it through.
Okay. I think I heard everybody, let me just ask for everybody to go on record and vote again. All those in favor? Aye. Okay, I heard it. Motion passes unanimously. Okay, future agenda items, we're slowly winnowing down the list. Are there any other future agenda items?
Mr. Lewis?
Yes?
I brought a letter, and I'll give it to the council, and I'd like a discussion. It's going to be on the school committee agenda. And I'd like the council to consider this letter about the future of the library. The town has too many quasi-public, I already gave Jane one, sorry. Entities that help us spend on money that we don't have. And the second agenda item, sorry, Nick, I didn't mean to interrupt. Yeah, go ahead. I'll hold the door for you.
Okay, so
The second agenda item, I'd like the council to have a discussion about the questionnaire that came out with the tax bills. The only question that wasn't on there was, would you like somebody to stop by your house and give you $1 million? It had no statistical relevance whatsoever, and from my conversation with Mr. Lewis, the council didn't know that it came out. So I'd like to know how that questionnaire got to the taxpayers without council approval. Thank you.
I will take those under consideration, and if a member of the council would like to add this to the agenda, I'll be happy to do that.
So,
is there a need to go into executive session?
Oh, yes.
Okay, we'll accept the motion to go into executive session.
I move to go into executive closed session pursuant to Rhode Island General Laws 42 and 46-4 for the reasons stated in Rhode Island General Laws 42-46-5A2. The discussion of the assessment regarding collective bargaining contract negotiations.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. 5-minute recess before executive session.